Welcome in, everybody, to this episode of Discard for Magic. I'm your host, Aaron.
I'm the other host, James.
And today we have with us Massimo, a fantastic player in the community and the player who runs the league, which is a huge part of the community.
Hello, everybody.
So, Massimo, why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you found Summoner Wars?
Yeah, I'm a long-time player. I think I found Summoner Wars first edition in 2012. I was trying to look it up. I have like some sort of Excel sheet where I gathered all like my purchases of Ashes first edition, but couldn't find it. It's like more than 10 years ago that I joined and found it on. I found it on Board Game Geek and got me interested pretty quick. And I looked at all the factions. I think there were 8 or even 10 at the time when I discovered the game, and I knew this was my kind of game, and I quickly got the master set. In Germany, they do have had the master set in stock and starter set as well, so I bought it in a local shop here in Cologne where I live, and then like over the next 2 years I got everything else and enjoyed playing it. I had one buddy here in Germany where I played it a lot with, and I prepared like some sort of season. So there were like 16 factions, and in advance I created like the 8 pairings, and then over like 2 months we played these 8 pairings. Everybody do sides in the beginning, and so we had like a schedule more or less. And at a later point, I introduced Lena, who is also playing in the league, and I wasn't sure she would be interested in such a game, very confrontational game and a more or less aggressive game. But she liked it very much and got quite competitive. And brother Stuffy, also well known in the league, he joined in, so I played Summoner Wars 1 or first edition very often in the real world. Can't say that for Summoner Wars second edition, and I only have the master set. So far I played like 4 games maybe, and 3 of them.
You haven't been getting the physical of the other stuff. You just have the online subscription.
Physically, I only own the master set, and I played like 4 games, and only one of them was a normal game with my former Summoner Wars buddy, who didn't play it for like 8 years, and said, "Okay, I was bugging him play again," and so he gave in one time, and other times I played with my 8-year-old nephew, and of course we had to change the game a little bit. We got rid of events, and the first game was without abilities at all. Yeah, I'm going to visit him like in 2 weeks, and we are going to play again. There's one player on Board Game Geek who translated everything to German, so I will have help sheets for him, and so maybe we introduce events as well, and how it goes. But after all, he's 8, and but he's getting there. He's my next prodigy, maybe.
So it sounds like for first edition, you had like your own little league set up in person.
With my friend, and it was even a very small tournament scene. A city like an hour away from us did like quarterly tournaments. Yeah, there were like 6 or 7 people, so that was pretty cool as well. But outside of this circles was very hard to find local players, like it is for Summoner Wars 2 as well. Yes.
Did you have, in first edition, did you have a faction that you liked the best or enjoyed playing the most?
Very similar to second edition. I enjoyed cloaks, and I enjoyed breakers or benders back at the time they were called. Yeah, benders was like more or less the most hated faction in it was first edition, and I can I know can see why. There were like some really nasty events which weren't good for the game at all.
They're kind of like a mixture of the breakers we have now and the Eternal Council from second edition too, kind
You
of,
could
but like the
steal
least
like
fun parts about them.
opponents' events, hand cards, their magic, and
Events, yeah.
it was quite brutal. And they could counter summon gems with paying the magic cost. It wasn't like design-wise a good faction for the game, and they changed it up a bit and still stayed true to their ideas, and I think they did a pretty good job at doing so. More or less, I liked playing a variety of factions like I do today.
Did you like Jaxic's faction?
yeah. I mean, it's second edition of Cloaks.
The second summoner for
An
Cloak.
interesting faction as well, and quite a lot of tricks and pretty cool summoner ability of the summoner. They're both pretty cool, but Phlox was my favorite.
Personally, I was a Cave Filth player in the end. Champs were real good.
Oh, you are talking about the alliances?
Yeah, the
Filth?
alliances. I played some of the like Demagogue Filth too. I liked Cave Filth a lot because of how good like Soul Eater was and how fun some of their mutations were. But
A pretty cool faction was Jungle Elves second edition, who introduced poison markers and had some really interesting units. Champ who could copy other animals.
honestly, that faction probably most closely resembles the current Savannah Elves with a lot of their like movement, like because they had their like chant of like cheetah or whatever, and you could move really far. And then that's kind of like the rhino, and didn't they have one for attack power too? And that's kind of like the chant of power and.
I'm not sure. Quite some time ago. But the first 8 faction for second summoners, they were all quite cool. Liked them a lot.
Yeah, you can definitely see some of the influence of the second Guild Dwarf and Tundra Orc summoner in Svara now, I
Whamming
think.
units, yes. Yeah, and I used to play a lot on the app as well, the first edition, which was really nicely done from like the visual arts.
It had no undo, so compared to now, like you had to be very careful.
You can't really imagine having no undo now. It would be like brutal. I mean, it's already brutal if you accident draw a card with the Sand Goblins or with the Eternal Council. It happens a lot that you like make a move, draw a card, and then you can't go back.
Or with the new one, people got to be careful that they don't like purge devout cultist and it rolls the dice.
That's a tricky one, yeah.
Don't kill a devout cultist unless you're ready for your turn to go forward.
But the online version, in the end, the game had quite some problems with certain units being included in every deck, and so you had to circumvent around these units, and defensive plays was too strong, and killing your own units for magic in the beginning, that was.
So you want to bring back rune mages and etch, is what you're saying?
Yeah, if I would want to ruin the game, that would be the road to go.
I bring it up all the time, but I think that's one of the reasons I don't think Brub is as bad as that. Because even though he's a mercenary, he doesn't go in very many decks. He's not like everywhere, you know? It's not like a Rune Mage or an Etch that just is an auto play in every deck.
I mean, I participated in the deck building tournament. I didn't play a lot of deck building before. I was surprised about the experience and was thinking, okay, you will encounter many broken decks and will be like Summoner Wars on arcade mode. It wasn't like that, and especially there were like some decks who built fortresses of units, like the Fungal Dwarfs deck, which had like Blood Summon and Rhinos. And against these kind of decks, You can't really win with one broken combo because you can't get to the summoner and do like a one-turn kill and something like this. So yeah, I was surprised and quite liked deck building. Maybe I join the next tournament.
Almost made the finals.
I mean, you did pretty well. You made second round, and you know, you almost made the finals. So
Yeah, I was figuring it like, okay, there are only like 40 people, so my chances might be pretty good, and so I joined, and yeah, it almost worked. Yeah.
Well, Massimo, we never played because we were on opposite sides of the bracket, but how do you think your deck would have matched up against mine?
I played, I don't know who it
Was it
was.
Red Debris?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. And I think I made a slight misplay in the end, but it was pretty tough, especially standing all these attacks and especially the
Oh yeah,
diagonal
Rogues.
attacks. Yeah, Hellforge X and combined with Enrage, yeah, that's pretty sick and can do a lot of damage with like 2 events. It's tough to defend.
Yeah, I know for a while, level 3 CPU was running Hellforged Axe and Enrage in like open queues and just trying to wait for the combo and do a double Enrage just to win the game. And you can do like 12, 15 damage maybe, depending who you got it on. So
I was surprised to. I'm not sure. Did anybody play Fallen Kingdom? A horde of carriers.
I think there was a couple, at least one. I lost someone in the first round. Rosie Ray.
Make an interesting, strong deck.
Snaug played Shadow Elves like you in the tournament, but he had played a bit of the Fallen Kingdom earlier, and he was definitely good with it. But I think Shadow Elves plays a similar kind of game, but a little better, just with some of the bouncing and other stuff you can do. But you know, but Fallen Kingdom can also run Blood Summon and that other stuff.
I mean, it was a successful tournament.
yeah, I think the tournament was a lot of fun. With the league, why don't you explain for people who don't know how that works, how the league works and what it is?
We started the league like more than 2 years ago. El Canela founded it, and there was like a season 0 who jump-started it. The league is divided into several divisions. On the top, you have like Division 1 with only one league of 6 players. And then in the other divisions, there are up to 4 leagues, depending on how many players participate. The season consists of 5 matchups. So you play 2 games each week, and you play each side after one season, which is like 5 weeks, 2 games a week. The top players move up in the next higher division, and the bottom players move down. The bottom 2 move down, with the exception of the first league. Only the top 2 stay in the league in the first division, and the bottom 4 go down and have to try again to get back to League 1. We changed the structure a bit, so there's now 4 leagues instead of 3 in each division.
Yeah, you guys flattened it out, right?
Yes, exactly. Basically, how it works, we play base decks in the league. Yeah, all the communication with the other players happens through Discord, so you send them an invitation to the games, and after that you can chat about your games and maybe connect to them and play practice games for the following weeks. And I mean, I think it's besides the competition, it's a nice way to get to know other players. It helps a lot to build a community and think about matchups and everything.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I enjoy most about the league is the fact that the matchups are known ahead of time. So if you want, you can practice, and you have to play both sides of the matchup. Where in like a tournament or another competitive format, you often will just get a random matchup and you won't know the matchup ahead of time, and you won't play both sides. So you'll just see the one side of your matchup and you won't know like how it could have been different from the other side.
We're in week 3 of season 18, so there were like a lot of seasons already. And what was really surprising is that there were like 2 or more or less one very dominant player who, how that was possible, because you do have that luck element, and you do have the dice and the card draw, but yeah, he won like 6 seasons and made second place in 5 more seasons.
They're mostly talking about Donkey
Yeah,
there.
I'm talking about Donkey, yes.
But Orange Lazarus was up there for a long time.
Yeah.
He was a runner-up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he was very dominant, or is very dominant as well. And yeah, I just looked at the numbers. He got he won the league 3 times and got the second place 4 times. So that's also very, very impressive.
And also, like, Sip kind of showed up and rose pretty quickly, but then he took some time off, and now he's back again, and he'll probably rise the ranks again.
Back again, and I guess we will see him in Division 2 next season, and then
I'm hoping to get out of Division 2 before he gets there. That's the plan.
Well, and Snaug's back too. Snaug's in my division in Division 3. So
yeah, there are really tough pools in Division 3 as well. I mean, also Jonas. No, Jonas is already in Division 2 already. Okay, he took a break as well, but
yeah, I was chatting with him when he came back, and I was telling him, I was joking around. I was like, well, I better get moving because I don't want to meet you, so I got to keep moving up the divisions so I can stay ahead of you.
well, I mean, that's the thing now, especially with 4 players moving down, is that you could be in Division 2 and be facing a lot of people who have been in Division 1 at some point in time. So
I mean, a lot of new names in Division 1 this season, which of course is also related to the fact that Sip and Donkey could break. I hope we see Donkey back very soon.
Yeah, Donkey definitely a player that's being missed from the competitive community. But for a while there, Massimo, you were pretty dominant too, back-to-back winner of the league.
Time ago, but yeah, I did. Yeah.
It's time for you to win another one. You gotta bring back the trophy back to Germany. Stuffy brought it back in season 12.
Now it's my turn. Yeah, bring it back in the days when I was when I won the league. I think in both times we only had like 4 players.
In the Division 1.
Yeah, exactly, and that was a very good change that we increased the number to 6.
yeah, I think so too. Because you could have like a bunch of 3-3s and just go down on tiebreakers, like.
I mean, tiebreakers were more likely to happen, and one bad game can be so deciding, and sometimes that just happens.
I thought about this earlier in the season. I had a game I probably should have closed out and won, and I made a mistake and I lost it. But I thought, well, that's tough, but I still have to beat Stuffy in my division 2 times at least to move on probably anyway. Maybe 1-1 might be a chance to move on, but I mean, still got to get through the other players anyway, so I still got a decent chance.
Yeah, if someone's interested in joining the league, how do they do that?
Easiest thing is to join the Discord or on the Subnivores on swzone.com. There's possibility to join the league, so you can just sign up there to send out credentials, but then you're ready to go. And even if you're not participating now, you can also join the site, and there's a lot of things to explore on the site, and write comments or rank factions. Put your Subnivores profile on the page. It's open for players who want to join the league or players who want to not play in the league at this time, but yeah, maybe at a later time.
It was interesting. Using those profiles is how I found out that Ben lived close to me.
Oh yeah, you played in real life.
Yeah, we did. We've played a few times now.
Yeah, so that's a success story.
Because he had started the streaming, and then I saw him. I met him and Fuzzy Marmot too. She came into town one time.
Oh, okay.
And met both of us. Yeah, I think that kind of laid the seeds for what we're doing now, or like because now they're doing the Scuffle together, and then so like you said, a success story from that feature. You have a thing that scrapes like BGG to look for people.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite an impressive number of of ratings for Summoner Wars on BGG, and I was very surprised how many people are in Germany, in Poland.
Playing the game, but
Poland has quite the community.
Yeah, that was so impressive to see. If for Summoner Wars 1, they had like in in 2 or 3 cities they had like regular tournaments with quite a lot of players in it. Joined again and for Summoner Wars second edition, but I think it was way bigger for at least the local community.
in first edition, yeah.
I'm not sure they are doing so many local tournaments. I mean, there have been like meetups. Summoner Wars first edition, there were like big tournaments happening in Poland. That was quite cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best players in second edition even are still from Poland. Poland's got quite a few top players because Sip's from Poland, Bradolf, Adamant, right?
Adamant, yeah.
Bunch of top players. Voltaire also.
At one point, there were like 6 people from Poland. Noah, I think Noah is from.
Yeah, Voltaire's also from Poland.
I think there were like 5 or 6 people in Division 1 or 2 from Poland at one point.
Yeah, it's crazy how like global Summoner Wars is. Like the community doesn't feel huge, but still there's like good small communities like all around the world.
I mean, I couldn't manage the league if there were like 1,000 people participating in it. But on the other hand, I think like Summoner Wars has quite a big potential. I'm waiting for it to explode.
What would you do if there were like 100 more people in the league? Just maybe have 2 League Ones, like.
I don't know. Maybe we have like 2 separate leagues, and then in the end, it's like a final between the winner of League America and the winner of League Europe. I don't know.
That'd be interesting because that would probably help some players with like the different time frames and playing each other.
Yeah, when we had the change, the new structure, I one time had it in the back of my mind to put players. I think there was like one pool with only players from Europe and one only players from US. But since I wanted to mix pools again, I thought it was too difficult to set it up this way.
I had a game recently where my opponent from a very different time zone was struggling to meet the time, and I was about to die, but I wasn't sure if he'd get another turn, so I actually forfeit that game just because I was like, I don't want to lose, I don't want to win on the time.
I had it happening 2 or 3 games of mine, and usually it worked out when we were trying to find a time where we can finish the game in like 4 hours and play more or less live game. But yeah, sometimes it's quite difficult.
Yeah, it can be really tough. The league format's been a little hotly debated topic occasionally in the Discord. Do you think there's any things that you anticipate changing or not changing?
The only change I can see, which might be discuss worthy, is having 2 6-player leagues in Division 1. And this was discussed before, and I got some feedback. Would be quite interesting to have a final game between the winner, the 2 leagues. I don't think it's ideal is that only 2 players staying in Division 1 right now. This is a bit cruel.
Yeah, you finally get up there, and then you have to play perfect to basically to stay.
Yeah, and I mean you have to play perfect as well in Division 2. Only the top player moving up. Pranov is already at 6-0 in my league.
Yeah, he's on a tear, so
yeah, he badly wants to get back. But I mean, even if I'm behind, if I win the 2 final games against him, still possible. But
yeah, I think the punishment of being in Division 1 right now and like only the top 2 stay and the bottom 4 have to leave is really rough. The only problem I see with like the 2 Division Ones is deciding what determines like what the final games are. Like if it's a 1-game series, what's going to be the matchup? Do people just pick like whatever faction they want?
Maybe use the randomizer.
You could use the randomizer. Randomizer, new feature on the website. Massimo, you wanna?
Clicks the randomizer and sees what it is.
Already was thinking about possibility how to handle that. And one thing I came up with is like, let's say you have the two finalists.
Mm-hmm.
One player starts to choose one from the 5 matchups from this season. Okay, he gets to choose the matchup, but the other player gets to choose which faction they want to play. This could be quite interesting. Yeah, you want to choose a matchup
which is
you
close.
think it's very balanced, very very close, and you should be comfortable with both factions. And it's the matchups of the season, so it's also quite thematic.
Yeah, and it's something that they should be well versed in because they just played the matchups. I like that a lot. I think that could be really good.
And it could work with one game, so you only choose like one matchup, or it could work with 3 games.
Yeah, it would be really interesting to see like for example from these 5 matchups, I would probably choose Fungal Dwarves and Fallen Kingdom because I feel like those are two of my strongest factions. And it's also like a matchup that's fairly close. I think it leans Fallen Kingdom, like probably like 55%, but I think it's close enough that I'm comfortable on either side.
And you could avoid like a matchup which isn't that close. So yeah, that could be a nice way to go.
I wonder if people would strive to like pick a matchup that's like 50-50 or pick a matchup that they like both faction in. Because there's some players I know who don't like playing some factions, so I wonder if they just try and stay away from certain factions or
I'm not sure. Maybe we just have another voting on Discord and see how other players feel about it. I know some players don't like having another final game in the end. Some players prefer it that way. So tough getting to Division 1.
Yeah, it probably won't affect me. I don't anticipate getting Division 1 anytime soon.
I mean, I'm a frequent flyer of Division 1, but not a frequent flyer of wins in Division 1. So
I mean, my main issue is that, and it's just a me issue, not a league, not a problem with the league itself, but it's like I like to pick my factions, and there's certain ones I don't play as much. Like I looked at my last 1,000 games, and I have 6 games with the Fallen Kingdom, and they're probably all for the league, you know.
Possibly, yes.
Or a few for ranked, maybe because I tried them again, and like the first time I played Fallen Kingdom again, my blood summons are my last 2 cards, and I was like, nope, I don't want.
Not again. Yeah.
I love Fallen Kingdom, but they're tough when you get a bad draw. I think they still might be like the worst for draw pendants. It's just
Cave goblins are up there as well, but
yeah, cave goblins are definitely up there too.
That's why I think that's the most noticeable thing about the league compared to some of these other formats is that you don't pick the factions you're playing, and instead it's just kind of it's like the matchup of the week, which gives it a different feel than all the other competitive formats, I think, and it's kind of neat. But makes me bad at it because I tend to stick to a few factions at a time. I'm trying to broaden my horizons though in the open queue this season or these last couple. I keep trying a few new factions. So maybe by like 2025 I'll be able to do well in the league.
How many factions will there be by 2025? Like
But I'm saying
50?
if each season I play like 4 or 5 and there 2 come out at a time, eventually I'll catch up.
I wouldn't mind if they slow down a little bit on releasing these factions.
I mean, it just depends on how good you want to be with the factions, you know. I feel like to be good enough to win in Division 1, yeah, I don't know. You probably got to play a lot of factions a lot of times, but then I mean, we say he's new, but now Vexer's been playing second edition for about a year, but he's done really well in coming in and learning all the new factions.
Yeah, but also for new players, it's quite overwhelming. And
Yeah, if you come in and there's 20 factions to learn, that's what we're at now.
I'm not sure, but I would be content with like 4 factions a year as well.
I guess that's one potential change you could do to the league is like if you think you want to like decrease the number of factions you could pull from, like maybe stick to things that are newer or something like that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because we had a lot of early seasons where we played like the first 8 factions because that was all we had. But do you ever think you'd change it so that you only do the last 12 or something like that as possibilities? You know?
I'm also thinking on like what is healthy for the game, especially on a business perspective.
Colby had an interesting thing about that where he was basically saying that like he doesn't want you to overspend if you're not interested in everything that comes out, which I think is kind of an interesting thing to hear from the designer. But I mean, he just likes designing new stuff, I think, and it's just a way for the company to grow. But it is an interesting question of how fast is too fast because there are some people who want it to come out even faster. I know, like Doug, he's like, I want new factions all the time. I love it. So it's hard to please everyone, I think.
I mean, it's cool, but I don't know. High Elves and Swamp Orcs still feel new to me. 2 more, and I think 3 months is. And I mean, the number of matchups
Right.
is like overwhelming.
Because each faction adds another 20 matchups. So
Yep.
There were like so many matches lately where I've never played this one before, and interesting. Okay, how does that will end up this matchup, and yeah.
But I think the first week has been really fun where like because I don't know when people will hear this, but right now the Crimson Order and Mountain Vargheth just dropped. So if you play a game with one of those, you're probably playing against the other one. And I couldn't even tell you who I think is really favored. A lot of people are saying Crimson Order are stronger, but I'm starting to see some interesting things coming out of the Vargheth too. And I can't win with the Crimson Order to save my life. I'm like 2-6 with them right now.
I like Crimson Order a lot. I think they're a lot of fun. The cultist ability with the Baron is super strong, and their warriors just hit so hard.
One game going against Shadow Elves, and that's with Crimson Order.
The Battle of the Shadows.
Yeah, but I think the way to go against Crimson Order is to prevent the summoner to get into the action too easily.
Mm-hmm.
And Shadow Elves, they just excel at this.
Yeah, just pulling away guys so you can't hit anything.
It's really tough to manage your health and get attacks in against enemy units. And you don't want to risk too much against Shadow Elves, of course. Yeah, but definitely interesting factions. And
Yeah, I think both factions are a lot of fun. It'll be interesting to see what matchups in the league they'll have next season. I'm assuming they'll probably each have one. Are you going to continue with some of the new features, like having people vote on the matchups? And
yeah, I think this worked out pretty well. I mean, I was surprised that so many people wanted to see Wayfarers against Cave Goblins.
Yeah, it almost won.
I don't mind that matchup, but it is a tough matchup for the Wayfarers.
I mean, yeah, some players even say that's one of the most unbalanced matchups. I enjoyed it more than I thought. I played some games against El Canela for this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tough one, and if the Cave Goblin players has like a good draw, it's pretty tough. Yeah, if it gets so many votes again, we'll have it in the league and see how it goes.
I think the big thing with that matchup, like a lot of the matchup for both of those factions, is just who ends up going first and whether you're able to draw your structures early and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Get that early momentum. And because they both kind of want to do that, I guess it can be bad for the Wayfarers if the Cave Goblins get their good start. Because Wayfarers really want to get to the opponent's side, but if they can't, then they can't do as much. But I think they still have some tools. I mean, Dancers are pretty good in the matchup. They're really strong and hard to deal with.
Yeah, but the voting feature is pretty new, and like already another voting about the factions you struggle with.
Oh yeah, I haven't put that in yet, but I'm definitely gonna put probably Fallen Kingdom in there.
But a lot of players put Fallen Kingdom, Shadow Elves, They were the ones people really struggle with. I, for example, I put trademarks in, not because I don't understand them or they feel complicated to me, but I see other players having good results with them, and I just can't get there. So that's a faction I feel I need to learn to pilot better.
I think that's just like, yeah, I think that's just a playing style thing for you. It's in part because you don't want to be aggressive as often, so you're maybe missing out on some opportunities with them to do that. But at the same time, I think they can play pretty well passively too, or at least pick their battles and wait for the right time. Because I wouldn't describe Watered as a particularly aggressive player most of the time. He's only kind of aggressive in the sense that he'll discard heavily early on compared to some other top players, but he likes them too.
I think what Massimo is really trying to say is he just feels Brub should be in the base deck of Tundra Org. It'll make him feel better.
And then I had the idea to start another voting on your favorite new cards.
Yeah, it looks like Varn's winning that one so far.
I mean, yeah,
Varn's really pretty good. I mean, even though his stats are low for his costs, he's got a lot of utility.
he's versatile. That's what I find interesting about cards. If you can use their ability or or can use events in different ways.
Yeah, much like Silts or something like that. But the one thing that doesn't have a date on it is the dice simulator. I know that's a very handy tool.
Yeah, I guess it's the most popular one, and was also a fun exercise code, and it's used quite heavily. I would say. I mean, or in relation to the other parts of the site. I do have some very basic logging. So the dice simulator is like used like 50 times a day, which isn't like a crazy number, but that's what it is right now.
It's good to know some basic stuff. Like I just found out that like to hit 3 out of 5 or better on range is an 80% chance or like a 79% chance. So that's important for like a Buishi and other people who might be swinging that many dice, But hitting 4 is only 46%, so you really can't rely on that. But I did lose a game recently where I relied on that 80% chance and got 2 out of 5, and I might have had a better chance if I just stuck out the game for longer. So
So you're saying the dice simulator makes you lose games. Got it.
no, I was just saying I made me lose games.
No, I find myself using the game log analyzer a ton, and then the dice simulator. Both those are like extremely useful. I like using the game log analyzer real late in the game just to see. Sometimes it's just fun to see like how you've been hitting like percentage wise, and other times I'm like looking to see if they have certain cards or if they like how much they discarded for magic.
Yeah, I still haven't used the game log analyzer. Could be why I'm not in Division 1. I don't know.
It's so helpful.
In certain situations, it's very helpful. Yeah, indeed. Numbers are not always 100% accurate, but yeah.
Shampoo was using the game log analyzer for the deck building tournament to scout to see what people had in their decks.
Yeah, you don't have to need to do it anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's just shown. Click on it.
Another really cool thing you have on the website, SW Zone, is articles and like different resources. Is that something that like is going to continue? Do you got any articles in the works?
I'm not the one writing them,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very open for everybody who has an idea for an article. There's one article coming from Vlogs. He's writing a piece about ISP avians, and especially everything around sky assault and attack probabilities and how to prepare and what options there are. But other than that, I don't know about articles coming.
You're pretty open to them though. Just message Massimo on Discord and If you have an idea for something, that's what I did when I wanted to write the Brub article and stuff. So
Especially like this article and similar articles, if someone wants to present the deck build and write something about it, I have seen a lot of interesting decks in the tournaments, so that would be a good chance to write an article about your deck creation.
James, you've actually written like a couple articles on the website. You have like 2 or 3, right?
yeah, I think I've written 2 deck building articles, one about Brub and then one about my my Ice Smith Smasher deck that used Vine Gates as well. That one was more of a fun one, but it as far as the way the deck works. But I was also just kind of just talking about trying to encourage people to.
Oh, and you wrote the one about cards to look out for in
Oh,
deck building.
so 3. You're right. There are 3 articles all about deck building. Yep.
Yeah, with the article which is most popular at the moment is the beginner's guide, written by Eldritch Noodles. So looks like a lot of new players are discovering the game. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we've had more people join Discord lately, so I think it's growing.
And there's also like strategy guides usually written by like Watered on each of the factions on the website. So if you go into the factions, and they're a little harder to find, but
All of the strategy guides are written by Water D, and luckily Sel joined in, and he took over the whole editing part, and he's really doing a nice job to polish all the articles and make them read really smoothly.
yeah, I'm interested to see what he'll have to say about the 2 newest factions, Mount Vargath and Crimson Order, because he doesn't seem like he likes the Crimson Order a little bit, but it doesn't seem like he's that high on either of them.
He's a very opinionated guy.
We'll see. I even took him up on his Mountain Vargas challenge.
Mm-hmm.
He challenged other players to challenge him with Mountain Vargas, and he was playing Proletors, Breakers, and I think his third
Van
section
Els.
is Van Els. We had 2 close games, and so maybe he's going to change his mind. And I read about other players who having success against.
I went 0-3 against him, but the one game against his Polar Dwarves, I almost won. I went 8 for 20 on his Svara over 2 turns.
Okay.
That is
That's
rough.
I got some good plays on him.
You basically won. I mean, in terms of science, you won, but yeah.
But the actual result of the game was not so. I had a nice play where I kind of moved I used the what's it called, the glory collar to move my brute up and push a summoner. So he had 11 health, and then I had 10 dice on him, and I got 3 of them. So then he had, or like maybe 4. I may have got 4 hits that time. So 4 hits that turn, so he had 7 health, and then I got 10 dice again and did 3 more damage. So or something. So it's just like couldn't finish him off. And at that point, I put so many dice on Svar that there was no way I was coming back because he had Yarmund and other stuff out that I couldn't really deal with. So I lost. But
Yeah, it's tough to deal with econ wise once you put that much into a summoner to come back and try and win.
That's always the tricky part about assassination. Huh? Yeah, invest so many resources, and yeah, one thing I hope gets gets more traction on the side is the comment section for the matchups. I feel like it would be like a very valuable resource, even if like you just put in some new perspectives, some thoughts you have about the matchup. Just
yeah,
a paragraph. I think it would be quite handy and also helpful for other players to see to see a matchup from a different perspective. And I struggle with myself to write comments, but I would really like to have like more players writing comments about matchups. So that's my call of action for everybody out there. Yeah.
I know you really like having the rankings too, but people besides the initial burst, don't seem to be ranking a ton of like the factions or their favorite units to play. And
Yeah, it's activity slowed down on this one. Yeah, I especially like now that so many new factions get released, and it's hard to get this more or less updated. New or convert, of course, and transfusion. But what other cards would be a candidate for the top 10?
Barn, probably, right?
yeah,
Ah,
Varn.
Varn. Okay, yeah, Varn.
Varn's
Quite
real good.
strong, yeah.
Besides that, maybe Warrior. But Massimo, I know you were talking the other day about how Colby reached out to you to potentially help him with another Summoner Wars site.
Yeah, he reached out to me, and they are planning to do official summonwars.com site. Would act like a good entry point to the game, and we discussed like the scope of the project, and I will join them and help them to create it. And they have a designer to work on the visual stuff. I will mainly do the technical part. We are aiming to get it released before Christmas.
That seems exciting. Will like most of the resources be ported over? Or?
For now, it wouldn't include the interactive parts of the fan community side.
Just more like informational?
In the first step, it would be more informational, and it would include the online store as well. You can browse through the product. Yeah, that will be like the first step. See which action it will take after that. I think they are interested as well, having some strategy sections on the page. Possibly include like resources from in detail. Yeah, it's still open how that would look.
That sounds like it's something really interesting to look forward to. I mean, it sounds like SW Zone's not going anywhere, and we'll still have a lot of the important resources that we know and love. But pretty interesting that you get to work on that.
Yeah, pretty cool. But I guess Joe is just stuck with, Joe is just plastered with work. And,
Yeah, sounds like he has a lot going on.
Yeah, he has so much.
I mean, there are even other games he's doing a lot of coding for. Freelancer app he developed. Now they're doing a native app.
Yeah.
For Summoner Wars.
Yep.
This Steam release is back for now. I got it from them, so their first goal is to get this native app out. I mean, I'm totally fine with the web app. The point is, it will be out there on the App Store, and it will be easier for people to discover it and install it on their phones. And I think, that's a very valid point.
That's for sure. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come on with us today, Massimo. It's been a pleasure talking to you about the League and having you on to discuss Summoner Wars.
Oh, well, my first podcast. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
This has been Discard for Magic. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.